Hey guys, I'm here today to do part 1 of my October book haul. Now, I haven't been hauling loads of books this year, and I mean I haven't been picking up loads, but I also haven't been showing you guys the ones I've been picking up. And I started to do that again recently and you seem to have enjoyed it, so I'm going to continue that trend. So, I only had a few books that I picked up in October, but then I had Eleanor and Lauren come and stay for the last few days and we went book shopping quite a lot, and I just caved, like I repeatedly caved and picked up lots of books. So this part of the book haul is all children's fiction. So I really enjoy the idea of reading lots of children's fiction around Halloween, Christmas time. It's a really nostalgic time of year, it just feels really magical. And the last couple of years I haven't acted on that, and actually I've barely read any children's fiction in the last couple of years. And so this year I want to really act on that impulse and actually immerse myself in fantastical children's worlds. So yeah, I've got quite a few books to show you, so I'll start straight away. So the only one that isn't children, I think this one's for teens, is The Glass Town Wars by Celia Rees. So I was contacted by the publisher. This is by Pushkin Press, who publish beautiful children's and YA books, and I said yes to this basically because of the author's name. So if you haven't heard of this author, she wrote Witch Child, I think the next book was The Sorceress, and she also wrote some books about pirates. I used to love them, like historical fiction written for children / teens. Really enjoyed them. Now this sounds like a bit of a diversion from what she wrote when I was younger, because this is actually set in a futuristic world where people can go into virtual reality worlds, and these two children meet in this virtual reality world and have to like save a kingdom, and this is somehow inspired by the Brontes, so I have no idea what to expect really. I'm hoping to enjoy it because I used to enjoy her writing as a child, but it's been, God, at least 15 years since I read one of her books, so we shall see. So when I got the email about that one, I asked if I could also be sent this one because I'd just seen it on Jen's last haul and really love the sound of it. And that is A Tapestry of Tales of Brunt Boggart by David Greygoose. Now I can't actually work out if this is a short story collection or a novel told in short stories, so they're linked, I'm not quite sure, but it sounds absolutely so fantastical on the back. It says, "This is a book like no other. A magical tapestry of folk tales woven together to build a world is as strange yet familiar as a half-remembered dream. It is an old world, a world of enchanted corn dollies and wild dances in poppy fields, a world of tricksters, lovers and fools." So I think these are interlinked short stories as this young boy travels through this world, and this just sounds so magical, so I'm really hopeful that I'll enjoy this one. So there's that one, and the rest I have picked up myself from various bookshops. So I picked this one up about a week ago when I was in Waterstones. I popped in after work to see if they had it out, and they did. So this is Wondersmith, The Calling of Morrigan Crow by Jessica Townsend. This is the follow-on to Nevermore, which I read and adored earlier this year, so I was very excited to pick this one up, and I'm actually about halfway through this one now and really enjoying it. It's just really delightful, so if you haven't read Nevermore yet, go look it up and pick it up if you like the sound of it, because I think it's glorious. So there's the next one. Then I popped back in Waterstones this weekend with Eleanor, and we were sort of hovering around the children's section having a look at lots of the books there, and we both ended up picking up quite a few books. So if you want to see the books that Eleanor picked up as well, I'm going to link a video up here because we actually did a little book haul together on Eleanor's channel of these books, so you'll see my books again, but you'll also get to see the books that Eleanor picked up. And I'd also recommend subscribing if you're not. Eleanor reads loads and loads of stuff, but at the moment she's planning on doing a really children's book focused November, so if you want to get some great recommendations, it's definitely the place to check out. So this is Inkheart by Cornelia, do you say this Funke or Funk? I'm not sure, I'm really sorry. So this is translated from the German by Anthea Bell. Now I thought this was, I knew this was a children's classic, and so for whatever reason I assumed this was perhaps originally published in like the 80s in Germany, but I'm not entirely sure. I had a little look and it says that it was published in 2003, so it's not quite as old as I first imagined. Now there are beautiful editions of this series published by Pushkin Books again, but because I'm not 100% sure I'm going to enjoy it, this obviously wasn't as pricey and it was right there in the bookshop, I thought I'd give it a go. So I don't know a ton about this, I've just heard loads of people say that it's a great series. I think it's about a magical world where this girl reads books and gets pulled into the world of the stories. Not entirely sure. These are slightly longer than a lot of the books that are in the children's section, and as an adult reader of children's books I tend to go for the ones that are longer because I find that they tend to have more complex stories and character development, so I've heard great things about this one, so I'm very hopeful that I'll enjoy it. And then I also decided to pick up a couple of sort of wintry Christmas themed books. So this is 12 Nights by Andrew Searcher. It's a very beautiful cover with all these stars. So many children's books are just stunning. So Eleanor picked this one up and I had a little read of it and really liked the sound of it, and it reminded me of the style of like Philip Pullman's books. It sounded like it could have that sort of cosy, I don't really know how to describe his books, but yeah, they just have a really cosy, I guess traditionally English vibe to them, which I really enjoy in children's fiction. So this is about a brother and a sister who on Christmas Eve their mother bundles them in the car and drives them to Cambridge University where their father works to try and find him because he hasn't come home and he promised he would be home on time to spend Christmas Eve with them. And when they get there, everybody at Cambridge University says, we've never heard of him, we don't know who you're talking about, no one by that name has ever worked here. And so they're obviously very freaked out. And when they get home, these creatures turn up in the protagonist's room in the night called the Removers, and they're not human, and the story goes from there. I'm assuming there's going to be some sort of other world involved in this, and perhaps their father has been wrapped up in this somehow, but it says on the back, if you love Philip Pullman or C.S. Lewis, you'll love this dreamlike read. So yeah, I think this one sounds like it could be great, and because it starts on Christmas Eve, I will leave this one to December and read it nearer to Christmas, so excited about that one. So because I'm massively shallow, what I was doing is I was going through the whole children's section from A to Z, and I was going to say A to Z because I'm so used to hearing people say that on YouTube. My cat, A to Z, we say Z here. So anyway, and I was just looking for beautiful covers or titles that sort of drew my eye, and this one I just thought looked glorious. This is Winter Magic, and this is actually an enchanting collection of stories from award-winning authors curated by Abby Elphinstone. So Abby Elphinstone is herself a children's fiction author, and there's quite a few authors on the back. I'd say there's about 10 on the back, and a few of them I've heard of, people like Emma Carroll, Catherine Woodfine and Piers Torday. Then there's quite a lot I haven't heard of, and what I think is great about this is that if I enjoy some of these author stories, I can go back to Waterstones and I can get, that's one of my cats. So I'm not quite sure what I just said. My cats love to jump on our banister, and I just heard one of them sort of nearly fall to their death, so I don't know why they do it. I'll try and stop them but they won't. Anyway, Luna is fine. So yeah, I'm hoping that I can find lots of children's book authors that I'll enjoy and go and pick up their other books, and also I love the fact that these are all based in the winter, so I'm assuming some will have a Christmassy vibe, and lots of ice and snow and things like that. So yeah, I think this could be really delightful. So there's that one. Then I actually was looking for this one in particular and I couldn't remember the author's name, so when I was just looking from A to Z I was just hunting out this title and found it. So this is C by Sarah Driver, and this is part of a series of books called The Huntress, and I've been wanting to pick this up for a while because I've heard a few people give this really positive reviews on BookTube, and it just sounds wonderful. The cover helps. So this has 2 maps inside. It has the map of an island, and it also has the map of the inside of a ship, which I think is just lovely. I'm not quite sure what this is about, but I get the feeling from reading the back and the first page or so that this follows a family who live on a boat, and they I don't know if they do, it says whale riding, pterodil flying, so I don't know if they're sort of beast hunting or whatever they're doing. But it is about a young girl called Mouse who looks after her brother Sparrow, and their father goes missing and their lives are all in danger. And I've just heard really great things about this series, and I really love the first couple of pages when I read them in the bookshop. And there's beautiful illustrations like on most pages throughout, so I just think this is going to be a really enjoyable read. Then this next one I was a bit silly because this is A Witch Alone by James Nichol. This was sitting face out on a bookshelf, and it reminded me of The Worst Witch. Now, I loved reading The Worst Witch as a child. I think I was a bit too old when the series came out, but I loved reading the books. And I was obsessed with witches when I was a child. I read every single book that had witches in the library. So what I'd do is I'd start from A, and I'd work my way through the bookshelves. And I'd just take out every single book that had the mention of a witch, and then I'd take all 10 out, we'd come back next weekend and I'd move on to the next section and I'd work my way around. And by the time I got to the end, I'd go back to the start in the hope that new books about witches had been put in the library, or I'd reread my favourites. So anyway, so this really reminded me of the fact that when I was a child, this is when I would 100% have picked up, and so I thought I'm going to relive my childhood in the libraries and pick this one up. The sad thing about this is once I got home I realised this is actually the second book in a series. It's a bit frustrating because it doesn't say it anywhere on it, but actually now I look, this quote says gorgeously magical, and it's about the apprentice witch, not about witch alone, but it doesn't say it's a series anyway, so it's a bit annoying. So anyway, I have since ordered the Apprentice Witch online. They didn't have it in the bookshop, so I've ordered it on Amazon. It should be here in a couple of days, and I'm hoping this will just be a really lovely one to curl up with, like, you know, a cup of tea and a nice bun and feel incredibly British reading about witching boarding schools. So yeah, hoping these ones are good. And then I also picked up a couple of others from Amazon. One of them is Restless Girls by Jessie Burton. I've heard lots of people rave about this one. I saw Jen talk about this one in her latest wrap up and it just sounded delightful. It was one I was on the fence about, in all honesty. I wasn't 100% sure. I've never read any Jessie Burton, so I don't really have any connection to her as an author, but I thought it looked really pretty, but I wasn't desperate to read it. But then I saw Jen talk about it and just thought it sounded really, really good and very feminist and wonderful. So I've ordered that one for myself. So it's very pretty. And then I've also ordered, let me just double check the title. So Jen previously bought me for one of my birthdays, I think it was, Tales from Outer Suburbia by Sean Tan, which I really, really enjoyed. And I didn't realise, trying to click on the book, I didn't realise that he had a new one coming out that was sort of in the same set, called Tales from the Inner City. So here is a picture here, and it looks absolutely stunning. It looks like it could be even prettier than Tales from Outer Suburbia, which is crazy. So yeah, really hopeful about this. Sean Tan's an author. I'd like to go back and read more of his books. I've also read The Arrival, but I haven't read any others, so do feel free to recommend some of those other books to me. But this one just looks beautiful, so I thought I would treat myself to this sort of big hardback book. So yeah, those are all these sort of children's or big beautiful books I've bought for myself. Let me know if you've read any of them down below, and do feel free to give me recommendations for other children's books that you've been enjoying lately, because I'd love to pick up even more. Thanks for watching. Bye.